Hello, I'm Steve Shaw, National Coordinator of Football Officials and Secretary of Rules Editor for the NCAA. And today we're continuing our series of media videos for the 2022 season. And we're going to be focused on game action from Week 12. Now, it was another amazing week of college football, but we're headed into rivalry weekend, maybe the preeminent weekend of college football. So everybody's set and ready to go. Now, before we get into our video, I want to take a moment and talk about some of our replay statistics for the season. We're averaging 2.3 reviews per game, and that's slightly up over last year, but we've got one overturn per game, and that's very consistent really over the last 3 years. Now, our total stop time is 1 minute 55 seconds, and that's actually better than last year, but we still have about 17% of our reviews going over 2 minutes, so we want to continue to work on those long reviews. And to that end, we are using about 3% of the time what we call our quick review when replay has immediate video evidence that will overturn a call. They'll give that information to the referee and avoid the long journey all the way over to the headset. So that's helping us out on the time. So with that, let's get straight on into our plays.
Our first play this week, and this action generated the most questions from this past weekend, questions about our substitution mechanics. So as we see, the offense is down 2 points, 22 seconds remaining in the game, no timeouts. They face 3rd and 7, and they're going to run the ball and gain 3 yards. Now, the clock keeps rolling. The offense is a little chaotic, but they rush the field goal team out. And the center judge gets the ball down, moves away at about 8 seconds remaining on the clock. The kicker's finally in place at 6. They snap the ball at 3, and the kicker boots it through for the win. Now, the question is, what about the substitution mechanics and the defense's opportunity to match up in this situation? So anytime the offense subs, the defense gets an opportunity to substitute as well. In all cases except this action when we're late in the half or the game and the clock is running and the offense immediately hurries their field goal team onto the field, the defense should reasonably expect the offense will attempt a field goal in this situation and should have its field goal defense ready. The umpire center judge will not stand over the ball, and there should be no issue of the defense being uncertain about the next play. Play 2 is a reminder of one of our player safety rule changes for this year, blocking below the waist, and the change that does not allow any blocking below the waist outside the tackle box for both teams. Now, we get a little screen pass on this play out to the left, and we see lineman pulling to lead the play. And as number 54 goes to make his block, defender 43 comes in and upends 54 by going low. Now, we see that 54 is shaken up right after the play. And this is a foul by the defense for an illegal block below the waist. It's a 15-yard penalty that will be enforced from the end of the run. And as we look at the end zone view from behind the defense, we see how dangerous these open field blocks below the waist can be. And that's why blocking below the waist is now confined to the tackle box and only allowed while the ball is in the tackle box. Once it leaves the tackle box, no blocking below the waist anywhere on the field. And this rule is designed to lower the injury rate for players being blocked, but the rule applies to all players of either team. Play 3, we have a kickoff. It's a pooch kick. It's short and high, and it's going to go out of bounds. Now, most folks say that if you have a kickoff out of bounds, you can take the ball at the 35. But what are the exact options that the receiving teams have on these free kicks that go out of bounds? Well, there are 3 options. So the most frequent option is that the receiving team can put the ball in play at the inbound spot on the hash on the side of the field where the ball went out 30 yards beyond the kicker's restraining line. So if the kickoff is from the 35, add 30 yards, and that puts the ball at the receiving team's 35-yard line, and it's 1st and 10. Now, the second option is the receivers can choose to penalize the kicking team 5 yards from the previous spot, so where they kicked it from, and make them re-kick. But the third option, and the option selected here, is you can penalize the kicking team 5 yards from where the subsequent dead ball belongs to the receivers. And as we see here, this kick goes out of bounds right at the 35-yard line. And that's where the ball belongs to the receiver. So if we add 5 yards from the 35 to the 40, we see that the offense next snaps the ball from the 40-yard line with a 1st and 10. This is a nice option on short free kicks that go out of bounds. Play 4, the offense faces 3rd and 7 at their own 10, and we're going to get a pass toward the boundary. The receiver catches the ball, turns upfield, he's hit, he fumbles. Number 4 from the defense is going to scoop up the ball, and he's going to run down the sideline for a touchdown. Now, the ruling on the field is catch, fumble, recovery by the defense, and a run for a touchdown. Now, replay is obviously going to come in and take a look at this and stop the game for further review. And as we go back and take a look at all aspects of the play, and if we use the end zone view, we see it's a clear catch, and it's beyond the line to gain. The receiver turns upfield. The ball is clearly out, so we have a catch and a fumble, and then the ball remarkably stays in bounds. And we see the defender, he comes from out of bounds, reestablishes back in bounds. We see the left foot down, the right foot is up, and he scoops the ball up, and then he's going to run back down the sideline. He stays in bounds the whole way for an apparent touchdown. Now, this is what makes replay so hard, as you must identify and review all aspects of the play. And if we look at it, we see the receiver, after the fumble and the ball is loose, his left heel is going to come down out of bounds, making the player out of bounds. And while that left heel is down, he's going to touch the ball while he's considered out of bounds. So that makes the ball out of bounds. So after review, this is a catch and a fumble that goes out of bounds. So the offense takes the ball at the spot of the fumble, and it's 1st and 10. Play 5 is a sequence of plays. The first play, we see the quarterback, number 7, he drops back, looks downfield, and then he's going to take off running. He dives, he makes the 1st down, but he's going to be slow to get up. Now, the umpire comes over to check on number 7, and then the umpire stops the clock for an injury timeout. And our officials will take no chances with players. When they recognize any sign of an injury, we're going to stop the clock for an injury timeout and get the player checked out. Now, the trainer walks number 7 back to the sideline, and number 12, the backup quarterback, is going to come into the game. Now, by rule, when we stop the game for an injury timeout, the player must sit out for at least 1 down and can only return when receiving approval to re-enter by the professional medical personnel identified by the team. Now, we're going to see the next snap, the offense is a little discombobulated, and they're going to get a false start. And after the penalty, we see number 12, he's headed out. Number 7 tries to come back in. But since we had a dead ball foul and the play never went live, number 7 must sit out until a play is run. In addition, the offense cannot use a timeout to buy the player back into the game after an injury timeout. So the player must stay out at least 1 play. So finally, we're going to see number 12 comes back in, hands off, and then number 7 is going to come back into the game after that play. Our last play this week is an end-of-game situation. 9 seconds left on the clock. The offense down by 2, but they have a timeout left. Now, we see a pass over the middle to number 2. He catches, he runs for a 1st down. He's tackled, and the clock goes to 0, and it appears the game is over. Now, the question is, was there time left when the player went down, and did the offense try to call timeout? And we see the actual superimposed clock. The runner is tackled clearly down with 1 second remaining. And if we go back and look at the All-22, we see that the coach is coming up to the headline judge to call timeout when the play ends. So we will definitely put the 1 second back on the clock. And this is handled on the field, but this is reviewable as well. If the clock goes to 0, as it did here, and the offense has a timeout, the player's down before time expires, and they're calling a timeout, we see a signal, then replay can come back in and put this 1 second back on the clock. So this was a heads-up play by the coach. Good job on the field, and a good job for replay, ready to step in. Well, that's it for our plays this week. We appreciate your questions, the feedback, and we hope this video has been helpful. And as we head into Week 13, rivalry weekend, our officials will have to be on their toes to manage the difficult and chippy games. Ultimately, our officials must be the calm in the chaos. So best of luck to all, and happy Thanksgiving.